like 5 minutes of chess fight.
It's a lot of fun having the kids home. It doesn't even have to be something that was celebrating an occasion, just they're here and having chips and salsa or something and talking and laughing, and it's loud. It's very loud. And sometimes I just kind of like sit back and I just watch them. And I don't even know if they realize that I'm just watching them, but I just enjoy watching them interact with each other. And it's a joy for me.
We joke constantly with each other. We like to quote movie lines to each other.
I think it's a wonderful blessing to have a big family. Like, I have a lot of siblings.
Somebody does the slightest mishap, like it just a spoon drops, we'll go, oh, you ruined Christmas or you ruined Easter on that one, because it was always so funny and joking in the movies. Like, they didn't ruin that.
I know me and Jiao, like, we'll get angry at each other, and then, like, 2 minutes later, I forget to be upset at her, and then we're just, like, best friends again.
When I do get to hang out with them, it's really fun. I get along with my twin sisters probably the most.
We are the Wallace family.
And we are joyfully big!
Have fun.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye, Dad. It's your meeting.
Bye, Alexander.
Bye, Alexander. I love you.
I love you, Alexander. Why are you? Alexander.
Hi, I'm Robert Wallace.
I'm Veronica Wallace.
And we live in San Antonio, Texas. We've been in our current home for about 12 years now. We had it custom built. We found very few homes were built to accommodate 9 people, homeschooling, as well as a home office, and have enjoyed living here for the past, decade, 12 years. I was not looking to have a large family. It seemed loud, it seemed complicated. But then as I grew in my love of the Lord and understanding my faith better, I realized what children are, what they signify in God's creation.
Lord, let this moment last for another year. Though today has ended, the night's still young, I'd say. Lover, don't go away.
We were married December 2nd, 1995. And when we got married, I don't know how much I really wanted a large family. I just had the one sister. I liked the quietness of that family. I did have an aunt and uncle that had 4 kids. It was huge. They drank milk at dinner, and this seems just craziness back in general, back in the 1980s. But as we grew in our faith and got into NFP and just saw the beauty of a large family, she was going to graduate school, and we made some decisions about that as well.
We were getting more into our faith. We were talking about a family. And so we were talking about, okay, well, if I'm going to graduate school and that means we're going to be delaying having a family, and then once I graduate, am I going to go into the workforce and then we're going to delay having kids? And so it just didn't make sense. So we just decided that, okay, I'm going to quit school and go ahead and start having our family. And so we did. And God blessed us very quickly, very easily. And, my background of having parents coming from 10, I was around a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles. So going to grandma's house was like a party. And so I always enjoyed it. And so that was a lot of fun for me. So recreating that, I'm looking forward to one day I'll be the grandma and I'll have all these kids coming and grandkids and things like that and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that day. But right now we're still just enjoying.
And I found it very important to have family mealtime that at least at the end of the day that we could all be together. Even though we homeschool, we're together. I'm not participating in the breakfast and lunch time, but at dinner time, I'll always make sure I'm present. And so now I make them drink milk at dinner time, and it's very loud and boisterous, and a lot of fun, a lot of conversations going on, a lot of laughter, a lot of sharing. And it's amazing how you can miss the presence of just one, like, oh, we're down to 9 kids. It's so much quieter in here. It's been wild. Even now we have 6 kids at home, it still feels different. It feels large, but even when one of them is gone, you miss their presence. Even if they're quiet, you just miss their physical presence. All right, are we good to go with the prayer?
Yes.
All right, awesome. All right, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts we are about to receive from the bounty of Christ our Lord. Amen. Yea, God, send away our riches, and we pray for us. Live on us, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
I feel like our marriage just keeps getting better and better, especially as our faith has grown. Our marriage has grown, and it's gotten better, and I mean, I really love him, and I'm so excited to be with him. And everything that, like, the movies or TV that says about, like, the person that brings you down or that kind of thing, they really show marriage in a negative light, I feel like. And I always want to be telling people, especially my kids, saying, like, no, marriage is not like that. Like, you will not get tired of being with this person, that you can love them even more and more every day. I can be driving home, and I can hear a song or something that reminds me of when we were dating or something, and I'm like, I'm so excited to see my husband, and I cannot wait to get home to hug him and kiss him and say, I'm here and everything. And so I still get that thrill of excitement. They say it goes away, and people say that no, then it becomes love as a choice. And yes, it is. I do agree with that. But that feeling can still exist. And I want people to know that. And I want my kids to know that that feeling can still exist, that you can still be just as excited as you were when they were going to pick you up for that date or when you were going to see them. It can still happen within marriage.
Well, I don't think either one of us had pure intentions with each other at the beginning. I'll be honest with that. She was pretty cute, and I wanted to be around that a lot more. God used those not so proper thoughts and guided them in a healthy direction, in a more loving, romantic, giving direction. So as we got to know each other, those original intentions began to drop and fade away, and a more authentic love for one another did appear in our relationship. She was a practicing Catholic. I was more of a fallen away Catholic. I probably classified myself more of an agnostic. She reintroduced me to the faith. She ended up being my confirmation sponsor, and I was confirmed at St. Mary's Catholic Church in College Station, Texas. So I did go all the way through the Christian initiation for that, and she keeps me on my toes even to this day, and making sure, like, hey, you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that. So she has taken it seriously over the years, few decades on that one, saying you need to fulfill your obligations as a Christian, as a Catholic, as a husband. So definitely a good choice as a sponsor. Holy Spirit, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
So Ronan is our youngest, and he is 8 years old. So he's our baby and very affectionate. So I'm very grateful for that, because he is the one that is saying, I love you, Mom, and giving me hugs and kisses. And
yeah, we walk around in the kitchen, he's like, hey, group hug, and they'll just come grab Mom, come grab me, and give us a hug. So he really leans deep into the cuddliness and cuteness, and just making sure there's a lot of love to go around within the family. And then we have Nathaniel, who is 10 years old, and he is a storyteller. He can turn a 3-minute dream into a 30-minute explanation of what happened. It's amazing. He goes into great detail, very detail-oriented child. Good rule follower, too. Make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing at the time it's going along. Then we have our twins, JL and Gemma. They are 14-year-old girl twins. Very talented. They've gotten into swing dancing with their friends. Very creative in coming up with the dance routines that they do.
Having twins for me was like, I always say, it was like winning the lottery and I never bought a ticket. Because I never even thought like, oh, I'll get twins. You know, the kids would always say, can you make it twins? And I would be like, that's not for me to decide. That's God. But they were always requesting for twins.
So then
Alexander.
That'd be Alexander.
Yeah. He's creative. Probably a lot of people outside our family do not know how creative and crafty he is. He's my son that will like make a craft as a Mother's Day gift or a birthday gift. We have parties and he's like, I can build this and I can make a volcano or I can make this chandelier. He starts things. So right now he's trying to start a youth group at church. He started a movie club where the kids come and they make movies here at our house and they do little skits. And then we have Magella. She's 18. She just graduated our homeschool high school. She was looking into the Carmelite life. So she's still in that process. She's in communion with one of the monasteries in Michigan, and she's been talking with them on a monthly basis. And she works right now locally at a burger joint, and she's still praying and trying to decide where God is leading her for her next step.
Then our fourth son, Patrick, he is 20 years old. He is right now a seminarian at the ordinariate, the personal ordinariate of the Chair of St. Peter. And he's been doing that for 2 years. He is on assignment in Orlando, Florida right now to help out with the Incarnation Catholic Church there in downtown Orlando.
Our next son, he is a firefighter. His name is Kefis. He graduated our homeschool high school as well, and at that time he already knew that he wanted to go into firefighting, and he really wanted to work in the fire department where he went to his fire school. He's very outdoorsy, very manual labor. I remember he once told me, I just feel accomplished when I'm doing something with my hands, with my body, and I feel like I'm really providing a service. And then our oldest daughter, she is 25 years old. Her name is Christina. She works here in San Antonio. She has a job in which she works with autistic kids. And so she goes from house to house doing sessions with their families and with the child. She really loves her job. Yeah, so it's really nice that she's now able to take the younger ones and stay connected with them, even though she's not living in the house anymore. We've had a lot of struggles, and we've had, like with all of my pregnancies, I've been hospitalized either before or after my pregnancy. Even now, just a couple weeks ago, I had 2 surgeries that were unplanned, that we were not expecting. We're still dealing with some medical issues at this time. And so my husband is always very supportive. He's there. We pray together. We discuss our options. I look to him as our head of our household. It's amazing how much we balance each other. We've had a child pass away, and that was very difficult. It's something that you don't want anybody to ever have to go through, but it's a part of life. And it's something that when you're going through it, you just are hurting very badly, and you need God. You really do. You need God, and you need to be open to one another, to support each other. And we did that. We were rocks for each other. You know, we were both hurting, but we knew that we needed each other and we needed God to be a part of that pain, that sorrow.
He was in the place that our goal for all of our children is to be. So effectively, you know, he was at the end of the family. He was the first one to arrive there. So we knew we had accomplished that particular goal, and we just knew we had to rely and cry on each other at times, and we were going to grieve at different paces in different ways, and it would come out differently. and gave ourselves room that, hey, maybe they're not feeling too good today right now, or maybe I'm not feeling too good. Learning to be forgiving during those times if that morning lashed out in a different way versus just, tears and quietness.
I felt that God was sorrowing with us. So it wasn't something that happened to us, but that God was walking the journey with us. And so he made a good companion. And and my husband and I, we prayed, we talked to each other. We did not close doors to one another. And I really feel like it bonded us even more so. And also with our kids, I didn't want anybody to be upset with the Lord. I didn't want anybody to lose faith over this. I wanted them to know that through this pain and through this sorrow, that God was with them. We have a daughter that has mental illness, but that's not who she is. That's just a struggle that she has, and it's very difficult for her. I can't even comprehend how difficult it is for her. From books that I read, from what I learn, from speaking with her, of some of her struggles and some of her difficulties. So I know it's really hard. And it's been a struggle for our family as well, for our kids, for us, because we want to have a relationship with her, and we want to be close to her. And we want her to know that we love her and we're here for her, we support her. And at the same time, she has this mental illness that prohibits that acceptance and that acknowledgement that the reality is that we love her and that we really want to be a part of her life.
Even during then, we were trying to learn and understand what was going on because there was a lot of things that were happening. There was still some of the fallout from William's passing, that I think brought about this particular mental illness, and just understanding how relationships work with a child that has this, and what I can and cannot do that will bring her closer to the family, and what might actually drive her away.
When I was growing up, I always did altar serve at both Holy Trinity and Our Lady of the Atonement. And so we would go to Mass 3 times a week because I offered it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the time. Then recently, maybe a year or so before I left for my adventures, they did change it to then 5 days a week that we were able to go. So we were able to do that. And then we'll also try and pray a rosary all together every single day. Well, some of the times, just because of how it works out, we'll have to split it up, and some people will say it, and then some people will say it by themselves as well. But generally, most of the time, we're all able to say it together, which is really nice.
Everybody is assigned chores and duties, and it's expected that they get it done. And if it doesn't get done, especially for family meal preparation, it goes noticed, and they're like, hey, that person needs to go, get the napkins or set out the utensils. So yeah, without the help of everybody in here, this would be a much more difficult operation.
So a lot of times, they do come to us when they need something, but they also go to one another and help each other with things. So sometimes we never even know or are part of until after the fact. And so it's nice to know that that they're giving each other good advice.
I feel like our family is really happy and joyful. I feel like we're always singing around the house during chores, and I also feel like that also kind of brings us together. I know I wash dishes with Nathaniel, and he's always sing this song. So I think that's also pretty fun and stuff. Yeah, I even when you're doing chores, it's nice sometimes doing it with your sibling, because then I do dishes with Ronan actually, and he's always tell a story. So it's always nice because he's always really happy and joyful when he does it.
So I've been the captain of a Troops of St. George of multiple chapters, one in New Braunfels and one here in San Antonio. And the guys and the boys that are involved are just, they're great. They all want to build the boys' character in the Catholic faith. So typically on our campouts, we get the boys to lead a rosary around the campfire. We get the older boys that are in charge of the troop saying, okay, you need to delegate to the boys who's going to lead, what are we going to pray for. The senior cadets, they're responsible for making their own food, for planning that menu, to do those things. As the dads, we're there to guide them and instruct them.
I also do an annual retreat with my girls. So we just find a place, a small town in Texas, and we go for a few days, and it's just steeped in adoration and mass and confession and prayer and book reading, and it's a wonderful experience, and we do that every year, so it's really nice and refreshing, and it's a way for me to also teach them to nourish their souls. And that is something that you have to make time for and you have to do. And so I want them to also carry that on as they get older, so that they know that you need to take breaks in life so that you can just reconnect and see what are your priorities, where are you going, and what do you want out of life? How are you going to serve the Lord? And ask him those questions so that he can give you those answers.
The leadership, I give more credit for her homeschool. We have a Catholic homeschool. So on a daily basis, they're typically reading, Catholic readers, Catholic stories, injecting Catholic morality when she goes over current events or hot topics, issues. For that, she has prioritized the Eucharist in daily Mass.
We were always super active in our faith, even growing up, and that definitely helped me as an adult. Growing up, I remember, going to daily Mass. I played the piano for daily Mass, now getting to see my siblings do that, praying together as a family, just the, talks in the car or at the house or just family prayers. That's always been very involved. My parents were always heavily involved at the church as well, either helping or volunteering. And that definitely is something that I carried on into, college life and now as an adult. And I think a large family is always a good way of showing that's like, we're open to life, and so it was just a great and wonderful experience.
That's when it's like, we would say every 5, so the average would be 5. So you go to get 4 correct, and then they get a token. And then they could get 6 correct, and then get a token.
Over the time when we first got married, unfortunately, we put our tithing and our charity at the bottom of our budget, and there was never any money left. Once we put God first in our lives, in our marriage, in a variety of ways, and put tithing and donating to the Lord at the top, there was always a surplus at the end of the month. I don't know how the math works. We would flip pages and we're like, I don't understand. It looks like it's the same numbers, but something changed. And, obviously one was my heart, or our hearts. And so that has definitely opened me up. And it's something of value that we teach our kids, put God first in all your life. And no matter what, your finances, your personal, your spiritual, your emotional health, if you put the Lord first, things will fall into place. It may not always be the same timeline that you have, but over time, you will be much happier in life.
There's so much negativity in the world. The world is sending a message of immorality and a message that is away from God. And so I think it's really important for us as parents to instill a good, strong faith in our children, knowing how to access the Bible, how to read it, how to use it in your daily life, how to go to adoration and what that means and how that can benefit you. The importance of going to confession regularly, learning about the saints and their lives and what they had to go through and how you can incorporate that when you have challenges. We realize that everybody's different and connects in certain different ways of how they want to pray and how they want to, investigate their faith.
And it really teaches you how to develop proper relationships, how to deal with life like criticism, constructive feedback, and how to deal with hard times and stressful situations within that daily duty. And it really prepares you to go outside into the world. And so that is why I'm happy that my family is joyfully big, because it has provided so many blessings to me. And I hope to all my siblings as well.
I'll end up praying to St. Joseph a lot to be a good father and a good, proper provider. One of the things that always comes to my mind is being a good steward. We talk about it at church a lot, being a good steward of your money, of your time, but also realizing that you're good stewards of your children. I think through the death of William, I've realized these are not my children. These are the Lord's children, and the Lord saw it fit to take William. I was just a steward of him while he was on this earth. Would I have liked to have seen his whole life go before him? Yes, I definitely would. But God understands, has a much bigger plan than what I have. So I learned to just trust in those actions, no matter how difficult they are, whether it's a financial trouble, a loss of a child, a loss of a parent, whatever that may be, to seek that Lord and to find comfort in what he's done in his life through the life of Jesus.
Let it be the night that I've been longing for. Let's fly down south to Austin or to Ecuador, just to drink pina colada on a hot, wet summer's day. Please